Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
We know how much you love to listen to politics or read about politics. But quite similarly, we also love to talk about politics and to read up on politics. And while Indian politics right now looks like it's a one-horse race or a one-team game, the fact is that Indian politics always brings surprises for you and also always gives you something to talk about. Now, you all know what's happened in Rajasthan. The old saying in English, it's all over bar the shouting. I don't even think this conforms to that because there isn't any shouting left to do either. This game is now over. What's happened, as we know, is that Congress rebels have come back in the fold, and the BJP's effort to pull down the government using Sachin Pilot here, just as they had used Jyotiraditya Scindia in Madhya Pradesh, has not worked, at least for now. Now, all the implications of that my colleagues have been writing and talking about. In fact, you should see today's politically correct series that DK Singh, our political editor, did along with Neelam Pandey this afternoon. So you can check it out. I'll give you a link also. But let us look at the lessons that arise from this. Some lessons arise for both Congress and the BJP. And then we use this to look at, to sort of gaze into Congress's likely future going ahead. But first of all, the lessons. So the biggest lesson that both sides have learned. Now, biggest lessons both sides have learned is that old people matter, that veterans matter. Now you will say, why do you say so? So for the Congress, it is quite evident that whatever Sachin Pilot tried to do, even though the BJP came in on his side and threw in everything into it, he was not able to, or this rebellion was not able to bring down Ashok Gehlot's government, because that Congress veteran still has the old experience and old smarts and old thick skin and skills to fight for survival and carry the day. Something that Kamal Nath failed to do, but that problem was a little more complicated in Madhya Pradesh. So the lesson for Congress was, don't ignore your veterans much as you may dislike them. Because remember, there have been only a couple of occasions when Congress has been able to, or a Congress leader has been able to outsmart Amit Shah as a strategist since Modi and Shah came to power. The last such was Gujarat Rajya Sabha elections, when Ahmed Patel, the veteran of veterans and Dada of Dadas, he was able to swing his Rajya Sabha seat in spite of Amit Shah and the BJP throwing everything in to defeat him. So for Congress, that is the lesson. Why is this the same lesson also for the BJP? Again, as I say, toss the coin. So on one side, you see the picture for Congress, the other side, the picture for the BJP, the picture is the same. What it tells the BJP is that you have all the smarts, you are very sharp, you are great strategists, you have in Amit Shah somebody who doesn't give up a fight till the end. But the fact is, why did you have to assess, why did you succeed in Madhya Pradesh and why did you fail in Rajasthan? And the simple answer is the same as for the Congress. That's why I said both sides of the coin have the same picture. Veterans matter. So in Madhya Pradesh, the BJP succeeded because Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who's a veteran, who's been Chief Minister thrice already, he was part of the game. And because he was becoming Chief Minister, he rallied everyone together. He could make commitments to everybody. So the fight was about making one of your own, who had support of his own, a base of his own, to become Chief Minister again. So he was able to hold your flock together, and he was able to convince the defectors that he'll be able to win them re-election tomorrow. On the other hand, in Rajasthan, the BJP went out apparently with Sachin Pilot, although he would deny it, apparently with Sachin Pilot, but failed. Why? Because the Dada in Rajasthan, the BJP veteran or the BJP strong person in Rajasthan, that is Vasundhara Raje. Vasundhara Raje was not in the game because nobody told her that, look, we'll do this and make you Chief Minister. because the fact that the relationship between her and her party's high command is strained, there is no love lost there, is well known, and this became quite evident in her silence and in her non-participation in this exercise to try and pull down the Gehlot government. Now, if she wasn't going to pull it down, who in the BJP would do it? Because BJP did not have another leader in Rajasthan. So nobody to rally your own troops and nobody to convince the defectors or likely defectors that you have a future with us. At the same time, the BJP was not in a position to offer the chief ministership to Sachin Pilot. So that is where the BJP went wrong. So the lesson to both parties is senior people matter. Now, will they learn or not? I don't think so, because when top leaders are very powerful within their organizations, they learn some lessons, but they tend to toss some rough lessons because they tend to deny them. Look at the Congress party. They've given us the first evidence, while Rajasthan has taught them that if you have an experienced leader, you have a better chance of surviving in spite of Amit Shah, BJP, Narendra Modi, a governor who was completely complicit with the central government, CBI, ED, commando comic channels, everything thrown in, right? A friendly state government, that is a BJP government in Haryana, where Sachin Pilot's MLAs were located. With all that, if you have a senior leader who has fought many battles in the past, he has a better chance of surviving. So with that evidence available right now, you already have a situation where some dissidents in Punjab are trying to shake up Congress party's strongest chief minister right now, that is Captain Amrinder Singh. And it does look like somebody in the high command, your guess is as good as mine, doesn't like him. But the fact is that he won elections pretty much on his own. There isn't a leader without him. And yet, two of his dissidents who claim allegiance to the high command, that is Pratap Singh Bajwa and Shamsher Singh Dullo, they have now demanded a CBI and ED inquiry into the Hooch deaths in Punjab. So you know what is the meaning, what is the implication of inviting CBI and ED to a Congress-ruled state, and that too by Congress leaders. So once again, there is no guarantee that the BJP will learn those lessons, because if it had, then it would have learned from Madhya Pradesh that you win these battles against heavy odds because you have the government and the agencies and the money power and a dissident from the other side, but also because you have a senior veteran leader who can carry the day for you. So they did not learn the Chauhan lesson. If they had put Scindia in front, Vasundhara Raje in front, not Scindia, that causes confusion. She's a Scindia too, but Vasundhara Raje, if they had put her in front in Rajasthan, maybe this situation would have been different. So that is one. But there are some other issues. See, for example, I told you that Congress's basic instinct is still there. The Congress still doesn't like strong state leaders, which is quite nutty, given the fact that Congress doesn't have any leader who can challenge Narendra Modi anywhere. The big change in national politics since December of 1984 has been, and December of 1984, that's when Rajiv Gandhi won his big mandate of 400 plus in parliament. Since then, it looks like the Gandhi family has progressively lost its ability to get votes for its party. It is now like a holding company that keeps the company together or that keeps the party together, but it cannot get votes for its party anymore. In fact, since that December 84 election, in every subsequent election, by-election, state election, you found generally that Congress, the Gandhi family's vote-catching power or magnetism has been declining. Now it is down to almost nothing. That's why Rahul Gandhi loses in Amethi, and that's why in so many of the heartland and western India seats where BJP is strong and where it was BJP versus Congress, the gap between the two sides in parliament elections is in lakhs of votes, which means Gandhi family can no longer get the votes for their party. At the same time, the party has a committed vote. We had told you the other day that the party has, even in disaster elections, party gets 20% of the vote. Now, even if you look at this India Today Mood of the Nation poll that we spoke about the other day, although we spoke about mostly on BJP's prospects there, and it shows that BJP's prospects are even better than before, and BJP's vote percentage has gone up substantially. The Congress's vote percentage even then has gone down by only 1%, 20 to 19%. So Congress has that block vote. It doesn't have a leader to get the rest. But what the Congress can do, on the other hand, is that if it has good state leaders, then in the states where it's not Modi versus the rest, unlike say in Gujarat, Congress has a chance, because you can see that Narendra Modi's weaknesses compared to say Indira Gandhi, that unlike Indira Gandhi, he cannot swing elections in every state for other people. That's why Jharkhand, Maharashtra, Haryana, his party has either lost or fallen short of majority, or Delhi his party's got wiped out. But if he was contesting, he'll win all the seats in Delhi, he'll win all the seats in Haryana. So that is where if Congress had regional leaders and state leaders and they came up against BJP state leaders, there would be a chance. But Congress doesn't seem to see that right now. But also, this was the first time, I'm drawing various lessons from this, it was the first time in many years that Congress got into what is called as conflict resolution. Conflict resolution is a virtuous thing to do in politics. In politics, आप किसी से रूठ नहीं सकते. We are not, politics is not for school children that you didn't share your lunch with me, so I'll not talk with you. I will cancel you. You can't cancel somebody in politics. In politics, strangers, enemies come together, friends become enemies, they again come together. This goes on all the time, and anytime you have confusion about that, look at a man called Ram Vilas Paswan, the famous weather vane of Indian politics. Now, Congress, on the other hand, is not figuring that out. And you can see from many other elements in the Congress. Why does the Congress not build regional leaders? Okay, we can talk about that. But what is Congress party's original voter base? It is some upper castes, often Brahmins in the Hindi heartland, but a lot of the underclass, that is Dalits, tribals, and some other backward castes. But just think about it. Look at the Congress party's political history. And I've been looking at it and talking to some people who covered Congress for a long time, including D.K. Singh, and going over my own sort of memory of dealing with senior Congress leaders. So let me ask you 3 questions. Who is the preeminent Dalit leader that Congress has produced since Babu Jagjeevan Ram? Think about it. I don't think you have an answer. I don't have an answer. Think of the preeminent Muslim leader that the Congress has produced after Maulana Azad. Maulana Azad, that far back. Don't tell me Salman Khurshid, because I will tell you about Salman Khurshid. He's a nice guy, but Salman Khurshid is the son of Khurshid Alam Khan, who was a politician because he was the son-in-law of Dr. Zakir Hussain, who was the vice president and president of India, not really a political person, an eminent scholar, intellectual, who was taken to that position. So not really Muslim leaders. After Maulana Azad, none. Don't even tell me Najma Heptullah. She might claim she was a Congress Muslim leader, although she then joined the BJP and she's governor now of Manipur. She is the grandniece of Maulana Azad. So again, even these people who were lightweight leaders in a way, and not really leaders of Muslim community or leaders who commanded any Muslim vote, even they were dynasts. Similarly, if you look at Dalits, after Jagjeevan Ram, Meera Kumar, good person, but a dynast who could not win any Dalit vote for anybody anywhere. By that time, BSP had taken the Dalit vote in the Hindi heartland because Congress simply did not have a leader. Now, Congress did produce a couple of chief ministers, but a long time back. Sushil Kumar Shinde was the last, although again not seen as a Dalit leader, but at least he was a Dalit who became chief minister of an important state. That is, Maharashtra also became Home Minister of India. After that, you have his daughter. So all these leaders, even the regional Dalit leaders and Muslim leaders, if there were any, in fact Muslim leaders hardly were any, They produced their own dynasties and no other leaders have been created. In fact, in the heartland, if I go over my sort of memory, the last Congress Dalit leader who became chief minister was probably Jagannath Pahadia in Rajasthan, and that was early 80s. Similarly, Muslims, Rajiv Gandhi never experimented, never took a chance with creating, even when he had so much power, new Muslim, Dalit, OBC leadership. In fact, the most promising Muslim leader he had in his ministry, he'd lost over the Shah Bano case. That is Arif Muhammad Khan, who's also gone to BJP, and he is now the governor of Kerala. So after that, Rajiv Gandhi did not build any Muslim leader. And then Sonia Gandhi did not do that because Muslim vote in the heartland was then ceded to Mulayam Singh Yadav and Lalu Prasad Yadav. So Congress ceded its own vote banks. Now, if you look at Congress's Muslim leadership in the past, Mrs. Gandhi, Indira Gandhi, actually took some chances. So there was a time when India had 3 Muslim chief ministers at the same time. One of those was Kashmir, that is understandable, but she had A.R. Antule in Maharashtra, a big mainstream state. Can you now imagine a Muslim becoming chief minister of Maharashtra? And she had at the same time Anbara Taimur, Sayyida Anbara Taimur in Assam. Again, can you imagine Congress party fielding a Muslim to become the chief minister of Assam just now? And before that, but again in Mrs. Gandhi's times, before that, she had also had the courage to make Abdul Ghaffur the chief minister of Bihar, the one time in the Hindi heartland that you had a Muslim chief minister from Congress. But since then, the Congress has not built any leadership in these areas. And once again, look at tribals. 8% of India is tribal. Look at tribals where Congress used to be very strong. I do not believe Congress has produced any tribal leader of consequence since Purno Sangma left it. And tribal leaders are also 2 types in India. One from the northeast, essentially Christian English speaking. One from east central India, that is Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, parts of Maharashtra. Congress has not produced any leader from there. There the tribal leadership was again ceded to Shibu Soren and his family. His son is now the chief minister of Jharkhand in partnership with Congress. In fact, as I again go over my memory, the last tribal leader I can think of in that region is Giridhar Gomango, who once became the chief minister of Odisha. Again, a chief minister of Odisha, a tribal. He's now also, where is he? He's also in BJP. So BJP, on the other hand, has gone out of its way to go and embrace tribals, other backward castes, Dalits. Now, OBCs, Congress never had strong OBC leaders. But Congress has had critical mass of Muslims, tribals, some upper castes, and some OBCs. And Congress also had strong Rajput leaders. Don't forget, there was Dinesh Singh, there was Arjun Singh. Before that, there was Chandrasekhar. Now, Congress doesn't have those either. So, Congress could get some upper castes and then critical mass from Muslims, Dalits, tribals. That is now missing. OBCs, Congress has very few leaders, although technically you can say that Ashok Gehlot, Sachin Pilot, and Bhupesh Baghel, the chief minister of Chhattisgarh, young chief minister, are also OBCs, but they are not really seen as OBC leaders. For that, you need a powerful Yadav type personality in the Hindi heartland. That Congress doesn't have, because that vote also has been ceded to other quote unquote secular forces, that is Lalu and Mulayam Singh. So that is the Congress's big problem. Big problem is Gandhis cannot get you the votes. It doesn't have others who can get anybody the votes. The few people that win either win on their own steam individually, or they win in a few states where either Congress is against a party other than the BJP, as in Kerala, or in Tamil Nadu, where Congress has a strong partner who can transfer their votes to it. And that is where Congress is caught right now. So see now how does the equation of national politics now picks up. Congress party leader can't get votes for others. BJP leader can get votes for anybody. particularly if the vote ultimately is for him, anybody, lamppost election. Congress party doesn't yet have a Muslim leader and doesn't have the trust of the Muslims all over the country. BJP, on the other hand, doesn't care. BJP has, again, to use that teenagers language, or sorry, millennial language, has cancelled the Muslims. BJP has decided to fight elections without the Muslims. But Congress hasn't got them. The Muslim vote gets scattered and divided. That's how Narendra Modi has made the Muslim vote irrelevant in India. Tribals in central India are mostly with the BJP. Some in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand have voted this time for the Congress or its allies. But in a national election, they go with the BJP. There is no doubt about that. The northeastern tribals, BJP now controls by co-opting all the regional parties there because they are weak. They usually go with the ruling party in Delhi. Plus, the BJP has all this power of ED, CBI, money, and the skills. And third, OBCs, and that's where the big differences come. So while the Congress has not built an appeal for OBCs, the BJP over time has become predominantly an OBC party, starting with the fact that Narendra Modi is defined as a member of the OBCs. Congress party, on the other hand, has not built anybody as an OBC leader. BJP, if you see BJP parliamentary party, if you see the BJP MPs sitting in Lok Sabha and also BJP's Rajya Sabha nominations, you can see that they've been very careful to pack themselves with other backward castes because they are more than 50%, just over 50% of Indian Hindu voters. So BJP's got that game right. Now to counter that, Congress has to start from the building blocks. Chances are, again, this is DK Singh's understanding, that Congress was waiting for some high point to relaunch Rahul Gandhi, to bring him back formally as president. That high point could have been some kind of an election victory. That hasn't happened, and that's unlikely to happen in the near future because even the states that will go to elections, Congress party is not likely to do anything impressive there. So maybe this success in Rajasthan can now be claimed to be that high point and Rahul Gandhi can be reinstalled. But the question that remains is, will this be a changed Rahul Gandhi? Also, the question that we need to seek answers to is that this conflict resolution in Rajasthan, this is out of character with Rahul Gandhi because that did not happen in Andhra with Jagan, that did not happen in Assam, that has not happened in any other state where there was that did not happen in Madhya Pradesh where there's been a rebellion. Rahul Gandhi's response to these rebellions has been a sullen, oh, so you let me down, you dhokebaz, you traitor, etc., etc. Not that he used these words, but basically that you don't deserve my attention. It is possible, and I think it's likely, that this conflict resolution has happened because of the intervention of Priyanka Gandhi, who looks at these things a little bit more practically and, if I may say so, with a little bit more humility, because Congress is down in the dumps. Unless the Congress first accepts that fact, it cannot start the process of repair work. Then small successes like what happened in Rajasthan will also disappear with time.